Okay, so we're going to do some practice problems. So this is page 2. I want us to flip to the back of that page so we don't waste a bunch of paper, and I want us to call this page 3. So what we're going to do on this page is we're going to do some practice problems together. I'm going to give you numbers and we're going to list if they are rational or irrational. So number 1, square root of 4. Number 2, 3.3 repeated. Number 3, 5.75. Number 4, -17. Number 5, 1.47523156 ... Number 6, 4 pi. Number 7, -8.4. Number 8, 100. Number 9, negative square root of 11. Number 10, negative square root of 4. Okay, so we're going to talk about each of these. The first thing I always want you to do when determining if something is rational or irrational, oh, I forgot to label the top of this. Let's call this rational or irrational? Question mark. So you can put an R or an I, whether it's rational or irrational. So in review, we said rationals can be written as ratios. So we always want to try to simplify everything down as much as we can. So if you want, first over here, put simplify. And then the second thing we want to do is try to write it as a ratio. If you can't, then it's irrational. If you can write it as a ratio, it is rational. So the square root of 4, you can use your brain and not use your calculator, but if you need to rely on your calculator, that is okay. So we're going to type in the square root of 4. Square root of 4. And we're going to press equals. That becomes 2. Now, if it is a whole number, which this is, you can write it as a ratio. That is also 2 over 1. So if you can write it as a ratio, it's rational. Okay, number 2. We're going to put in 3.3 repeated. So to put this in your calculator, you click 3 point first. Then you click the button alpha. That alpha button has a repeated symbol when you click the square root button. You can see that little red box with a repeating symbol over it. So that's going to be the repeating symbol, and then you can put a 3 in there. Press enter. That becomes 10 over 3. If it's a ratio, it is rational. Okay, 5.75. I know it's a decimal, but we're just going to type it in. 5.75. We're going to press enter. It's a ratio. 23 over 4. So it is rational. -17. We don't even have to type that in. That's -17. Anything can be written over 1. So if it's a ratio, it is rational. Now, this one right here, if we typed that in our calculator, it would probably give us a fraction. However, anytime it has these 3 dots right here, and it is not a pattern, it's not repeating any back here, it is irrational. So those are special circumstances where you can't really check it with your calculator, but if it's a crazy number that does not have a pattern and goes dot 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 at the end, it keeps going to go on forever, and you can't write a number that goes on forever over 1. So it's going to be irrational. For pi, anything with pi in it is always irrational, just a rule of thumb. But let's type it in. 4, and then we're going to hit shift and this button right here. See the pi? We're going to press enter, and then we're going to change that to a decimal. Try to see if it turns into a fraction. It does not. It turns into a crazy number. Just like this one was. That was a crazy number. It's going to go on across your screen forever and ever. So it is irrational. Negative 8.4. Let's type that in. Oh, it turned into a ratio. Ratios are rational. 100, we don't even have to type that in. We can write it over 1. So it's rational. Let's type in negative square root of 11. Did not turn into a ratio, but let's just see. Let's turn it into a decimal and see if it turns. Nope, turned into a crazy number. So it is irrational. I like to think of irrational people being kind of crazy. They never stop talking. They never, it seems like it never ends with them. So that's what I like to think of with irrational numbers, like irrational people. Okay, let's do negative square root of 4. That's going to be negative 2. We can sure write negative 2 as a fraction. We can write it over 1. So that is going to be rational. Now there's a difference in this and this, square root of negative 4. There's a big difference. The negative sign is on the outside here, and it's on the inside here. So let's try to do square root of negative 4. That gives you that math error, which means it is imaginary. It is not a real number. All right. Hope that helped. You all have a fabulous day.